Okay, I had some people request it, so here it is. This video is going over how to solve proportions, and I'm going to put some unit rate and some unit cost in there, and this is all going to be done with no cross multiplying. So we are either simplifying and finding our scale factor or seeing our scale factor by dividing two of the numbers. So we will start with simplifying. It takes 48 chicken fingers to feed Mr. Young's 4th grade class of 20 students. How many chicken fingers would it take to feed 30 students? So we'll start by setting up our word ratio, which is going to be chicken to students. And we're going to have, the ratio we know will be the next one. So it's going to be 48 chicken fingers for 20 students. And I want to know how many chicken fingers I would need for 30 students. Okay, so automatically when we look at this, 20 doesn't go evenly into 30. So there's not a direct scale factor. So since it doesn't go directly into 30, we have a couple options. I can figure out the scale factor by dividing, but in this case, I'm just going to simplify. Because I know that 10 goes into 30. I can do 10 times 3 to get 30. So if I just simply divide this entire ratio by 2, which would then give me 10, and 48 divided by 2 is 24. So now I have 24 chicken fingers to 10 students. What this does now is it lets me see that there is a scale factor here of 3, which means I can multiply 24 times 3. 24 times 3, 12, 6, 7. So for 30 students, I would need 72 chicken fingers. So again, don't need to cross multiply. It's actually easier rather than multiplying and trying to do cross multiplying. So I just need to find that scale factor. Alright, this one we're going to do by finding the scale factor with dividing, but it's going to be a little bit easier than that. So, Jamie spends 15 hours over a 2-week period practicing piano. How many hours does she spend practicing in 7 weeks? So again, our word ratio is going to be hours to weeks. She spends 15 hours for 2 weeks, and I want to know how many hours she's going to spend for 7 weeks. So this one, I could simplify and find out how many hours she does in 1 week, but just for the sake of doing something a little bit different, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the scale factor. 2 doesn't go into 7 evenly, but something, when we multiply it by 2, equals 7. So the way I can figure that out is I'm going to do the opposite problem, which is to divide. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So if I do 7 divided by 2, I will get what this scale factor is. So I'm going to come over here and divide 7 by 2. 2 goes into 7 3 times. I get a remainder of 1. Okay, a couple of options I can do. I can either put 1 up here and make it a fraction, and it would be 1/2. Then when you go to multiply fractions, you have to make it an improper fraction. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to add my decimal and my 0 and bring it down. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Since I have no remainder now, I know that that scale factor right here is going to be 3.5. So 2 times 3.5 equals 7. Which means I would just need to multiply 15 times 3.5 to get my answer. So I'm going to come over here and do 15 times 3.5. I'm going to have 1 decimal place in my answer. 25, that's going to be 7, 15, and 4. Add those together, 12. So 1 decimal place. She would practice for 52.5 hours in 7 weeks. So again, a little bit different. I could have done the same thing and simplified down to 1, but this is just a different way to solve that problem. So still finding my scale factor and doing that is a lot simpler. So for unit rate, which we talked about in class today, I think except for 7th period because it got cut short with the assembly. But unit rate, we are going to find it out of 1. So this is basic. It's not even a word problem. But I'm going to have 18 inches of snow in 12 hours. So for my unit rate, I'm going to want to know how many inches of snow I would get in 1 hour. I can still set up my proportion. That's what it would look like to solve. So again, a couple things you can do. You can simplify it. You can simplify 18 over 12. But really, I'm just going to be dividing by 12 on both sides. Okay, and we kind of talked today about how fractions can be written as division problems, or division problems can be written as fractions, and that bar means divide, so 18 divided by 12. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do 18 divided by 12. 12 goes into 18 once, and I'm going to get a remainder of 6. So again, I can do a couple things. I can make a decimal or a fraction either way, whichever I choose to do. Can y'all still see that? Okay, good. 12 goes into 65 times. That's my decimal that I brought up. I'm going to get an answer of 1.5. So every hour, there's going to be 1.5 inches of snow. sure I label. And then the last thing to review is unit cost. So unit cost is the same thing as unit rate, but we're dealing with money. So a lot of times you will see this problem with a which is the better buy. So I've given you an example of that kind of a problem here. So I've got 2 liters of milk at $3.80 or 1.5 liters of milk at $2.70. So I want to figure out basically how much 1 liter of milk is going to cost, and that's going to tell me which one's the better buy, because the cheaper is the better buy, hopefully for you. So again, set up my proportion. I can do liters over money. So for the first problem, I'm going to do that first. I would have 2 liters over $3.80, and I want to know how much 1 liter is. So to do that, I divide by 2, which I'm going to do to $3.80. Not divide by 3, divide by 2. I can just come down here. 380 divided by 2 is going to get me $1.90. So for this one, it's $1.90 per liter. Okay. Then I'm going to do this. So I'm going to make a little squiggly. For this problem, same thing, liters over money. And really, guys, this, again, that word ratio doesn't have to be fancy, but it just helps to keep your information organized. 1.5 over $2.70. I wonder how much 1 liter is going to be. So I'm going to divide by 1.5. Division sign. Getting a little silly there. So I've got my $2.70 and I've got my 1.5. Again, I don't want any decimals out here, so I'm going to multiply by 10 and move it over, and then I will do the same thing inside. So now when I'm dividing, I've got 15 divided by 27. I'm going to go ahead and leave the decimal in the 0 just because I know that it doesn't go in evenly, and we're dealing with money, so we are going to have decimals. 15 goes into 27 one time. I'm going to get a remainder of 12. Remember, if that remainder is bigger, then that would mean it would go in another time. So bring down your 0. And then 15 can go into 128 times. So there's my 120. Bring up my 0 because I've got to have 2. So this is going to be $1.80 per liter. So based on my unit cost, this would be the better buy. The 1.5 liters of milk for $2.70. So hopefully this helps. As always, come into tutorials. We're here to help, and have a good day.